Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley apologized today after video was released last week showing her cursing at and not listening to a Webster police officer who had tried to pull her over for speeding.
In the nearly 2-minute pre-recorded address to the community, Doorley explains...
Excuse me. In the nearly 2 minutes of pre-recorded address to the community, Doorley explains that the outburst was in relation to stress between working the 3 homicide cases from the previous weekend, including watching video where a Rochester cab driver was executed, and the news that her husband was dealing with a medical concern. She says she fell short of the values she has held throughout her career and is asking for the public's forgiveness. She also explained the steps she has taken now to hold herself accountable and offered this to the officer involved.
While I previously apologized to him, I will say it again. I'm sorry. Police already have a tough job, and that day I made this officer's job harder. To the community, I owe you full transparency. Here's what I'm doing to hold myself accountable. First, I already pled guilty to the speeding ticket, and I will willingly pay the fine. Next, I'm referring the entire matter to a district attorney from another county for review and will fully cooperate with that investigation. I'm going to self-report this incident to the grievance committee, and I will cooperate with their investigation. Finally, if one of my assistant district attorneys had acted this way, I would have disciplined them. So I'm disciplining myself. I will take ethics training to remind myself that professionalism matters. I've been humbled by my own stupidity, and I'm fully to blame.
Now, we have team coverage of the response to the incident, ranging from members of the community here in Rochester to the action Governor Kathy Hochul says she's now taking. Natalie Kutchko stopped by a protest outside of the DA's office earlier today. She's going to join us in a bit with what Doorley's detractors and supporters had to say. But first, Isabel Garcia joins us in studio with more on those next steps that Doorley had just talked about.
Yes. Hi, Adam. News 8 independently confirming today Governor Kathy Hochul referred the incident involving Doorley to the State Commission on Prosecutorial Conduct. Now, the commission was enacted first in 2021 under then Governor Andrew Cuomo and is comprised of 11 non-salaried appointed members authorized to conduct a full range of investigative functions and refer sanctions to relevant attorney grievance committees. Now, this is all very new, too, with the proposed operating rules and procedures published on April 10th of this year. That's less than 3 weeks ago. And in an email response to News 8, Chair Michael Simons explains the commission is aware of the governor's statements referring Doorley to the panel, but there is no ability to comment on any active matter, adding the state judiciary law requires work within the commission to be done confidentially. Now, there may be public disclosure only after a proceeding is concluded and final recommendations from the commission are determined. Now, it should also be noted here, Doorley had lobbied against that commission at the time of its proposal, this while serving as the president of the New York State District Attorneys Association. Now, we have reached out to that association as well. I also today reached out to the State Bar Association, which I discovered holds no statutory nor regulatory role relating to the certification or discipline of attorneys in New York State. All attorney certification, ethics, and disciplinary matters are handled through the Unified Court System and Office of Court Administration. For now, back to you.
Isabel, thank you for that report. Now, shortly after the district attorney's apology video was released this morning, a group of protesters took to the streets downtown right outside of her office to make their voices heard. Those in support of and opposed to the DA and her explanation showed up. Natalie Kutchko spoke with them and joins us now in studio with more on that. Natalie.
Yes, Adam, some local Democratic lawmakers feel what took place here was an abuse of power, they say, and that Doorley should be held accountable. Now, others say she needs to be forgiven, and those calls brought from the DA's offices to the Hall of Justice today.
Sandra Doorley got go!
A call for removal. Protesters made their way from the Monroe County District Attorney offices on Fitzhugh Street to the steps of the Hall of Justice Monday.
The actions of the district attorney are totally unacceptable. I mean, a total disregard. And if members of the community took her lead, we would have some major problems followed by some major lawsuits that this community just cannot handle.
Over the weekend, Assemblymember DeMond Meeks joined Democratic colleagues calling for an investigation into Monroe County DA Sandra Doorley's actions and full accountability to the extent of the law.
She broke several laws. We've seen it on camera, and I'm quite sure there's a lot more that took place that we did not see. And I commend the officer for maintaining his cool in that moment and, doing his job, because he was simply doing his job.
Supporters of the DA were also in attendance, including Randy Cimino, president of the local nonprofit Gates to Recovery.
I'm a 9-time convicted felon. I'm here on Sandra's side. She's prosecuted me personally for crimes that I did commit and that I needed to be punished for. And you know what? She did her job. She did her job as she does for every one of us every day. And so with that said, she made a mistake.
Hearing from both sides there. Now, we have reached out to the district attorney's office to speak with Doorley directly. We're told still no interviews are being accepted at this time. Adam, back to you.
All right. We will keep asking. Thank you so much, Natalie. Republicans in the Monroe County Legislature are voicing their support of Sandra Doorley. Republican Conference Leader Steve Brew put out a statement today commending the Webster Police Department for their work, while also stating in part, quote, "We will not allow a moment of clearly expressed regret to overshadow decades of dedication to our community, law enforcement, and the rule of law." The Republican Conference continues to support our district attorney, Sandra Doorley.
And the Rochester Police Locust Club also released a statement condemning her actions, but ultimately they voiced support for Doorley. They write in part, "The Locust Club acknowledges that DA Doorley's conduct on the day of the incident near her home in Webster fell short of the standard that is expected of her." But they go on to say, however, "We have also reviewed and reflected upon Ms. Doorley's public statements since the incident, and we take her at her word that she is regretful and apologetic for the choices she made."